Stay the Night is a 2022 Canadian romantic drama film written and directed by Renuka Jayapalan. The film stars Canadian actors Andrea Bang and Joe Scarpellino. I enjoyed it a lot, and I feel that it's a film that is incredibly underrated. The storyline is relatively simple. Grace is a young woman who isn't really loving her life. She is passed over for a promotion at work for being too reserved, and her far more outgoing best friend Joni is currently staying at her place, hooking up and bringing guys home, meaning that poor Grace has to stay out while Joni entertains at Grace's house. After initially crying alone in bed, Grace decides to go out after all, and impulsively and uncharacteristically decides to seek out a one-night stand. She meets Carter Stone, a young professional hockey player who is also at a career crossroads, having just been dumped from the NHL down to the minors, and is awaiting the outcome of his future. Despite the inauspicious start, the two end up making a much more profound emotional connection over the course of the evening than either could have expected. This is not the sort of movie that I would ordinarily enjoy, as I do not find the one-night stand trope very romantic, but this was a beautiful film, well acted, well shot, and I really, really enjoyed it. Here's the trailer, and then I'll talk a little bit more in a non-spoilery way about what I really loved about this film.
I wanted to follow up about the associate position.
You are more reserved, Grace. And sometimes that reserve comes across as standoffish.
I'm standoffish.
You didn't get it.
We're going out for drinks tonight to celebrate if you want to come.
Thanks, Rashawn, but I have plans.
This is what you do, Grace. You like a guy, and then you get to know him just long enough to not like him anymore, so you don't have to date him.
You're Carter Stone. Hey, why didn't you play tonight? What happened?
Do you know if there's another bar around here somewhere?
It's downtown. There's bars everywhere.
Oh yeah, I'm not from here.
Carter! We need to finish that conversation. Where are you going?
Hey, what the hell?
Right.
Sure, just take my cab.
You think I look 30?
It's a compliment.
Not when you're 25, is it?
At least people don't think you're a teenager. Why do you like sitting at the bar?
It's comfortable, casual, easy to get close to a girl.
Original. I like the table. You can look someone in the eye.
We sit across from each other. I feel like I'm in an interview.
I don't care if you're a hockey player.
Good, because I'm not. I was fired.
Technically, it sounds like you were demoted.
I think she's playing hard to get.
No, I think she actually is hard to get.
You found something you love and played it to the highest level. Do you know how many people dream of doing a tenth of that?
It's so easy for people like you. It's hard for me.
I know.
No, you don't.
Ah, Grace, why'd you come here?
I've been wanting to discuss this lovely, quiet little film for a very long time, but didn't know how to do it in a way that did it justice. It's not very well known, it's been poorly promoted, and I think that's a real shame because it's a really good film. If you like well acted romantic dramas with a little bit of humour thrown in, you'll like this. The film is set in Toronto, which is why my husband wanted to watch it with me because he's from Toronto. The character of Grace is quite prickly and difficult to like in the beginning, but I actually came to like her quite a bit because she's very vulnerable and she's very honest when she is forced to be. And there's actually a sweetness within her that I really enjoyed. Unfortunately, she plays almost exactly the same character in another romantic film called Float, and I don't think it works so well there, but I thought it worked perfectly in this film. Her romantic lead is an actor that I've never seen before. He is a French-Canadian Quebecois actor named Joe Scarpellino, who appears to be bilingual, so fully fluent in English and in Canadian French. He is extremely attractive, very charming, but very sincere, and his acting is very good in this. I couldn't believe that I found myself really enjoying what was essentially a sports romance. You know, girl meets hockey player. But it does subvert your expectations because, yes, girl meets hockey player, but hockey player is not a very successful hockey player anymore. He's down on his luck and he's pretty miserable. Initially, even though they're brought together by a one night stand, they don't even actually like one another. And it's incredibly awkward. Like, there are so many awkward scenes in this film. And I really like it because it's so endearing. Because when they eventually do come together and make a connection, and I know that's a little bit of a spoiler, but I have told you that this is a romance film, so there are certain things you're going to expect from it. When they do come together, it is very rewarding and it is incredibly sweet. The other thing I really like is that he is very kind and he's very perceptive. So consent is done in a way that's very, very tasteful when they initially come together to have sex. When he realizes that she's never done a one night stand and she's actually probably a virgin, he immediately stops and he doesn't try to force the issue, which is the right thing to do, but it's done in a very believable and relatable way that makes us like him and also makes us understand her character better. It is definitely one of the romance tropes that I like, where two strangers come together and through the course of a night they get to know one another really well. And the movie doesn't actually make it clear whether or not they fall in love. They're only together one night. So I think even if it's not love, I do believe it is the inklings or the beginnings of love and the beginnings of what could be a really good relationship, even though there is distance in there. But, given who they are and all that sort of stuff, I think it's actually quite plausible that it could work. There aren't a large number of secondary characters, but the characters that are in there are actually pretty good. The housemate, Joni, is incredibly annoying and inconsiderate, but also realistic because I think we've all known Jonies in our lives. And her her workplace crush, Roshan. I didn't recognize him at first, but he played Nate in the Netflix series Made. He was also in a really great Audible original Christmas series with Colby Smulders that I believe was called Murder Under the Mistletoe. It's got 2 seasons and it's really cute and sweet and funny and romantic. And if you haven't checked it out, you should. So even some of the secondary characters are really great and they don't distract from what's going on. I might do a separate video that talks about some of the romantic tropes that I really, really liked in this story and that made my inner fangirl squee. But I won't do that in this video because I did want to try to keep this largely spoiler free. I really hope that people give it a go and that people like it as much as I did. There isn't much out there about it at all, and I think I might be the only person who has posted any fan fiction about it on an archive of our own. I'm fine with that. I'm used to being in fandoms of one.